We begin today the Gemara on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, right at the beginning of the Amud. So, the Gemara here is in the middle of an inyan. We're discussing a machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, which began in the middle of Daf Yud Amud Beis. The machlekes there was regarding a chalutza. One of the brothers was chaylis to Yevamos. So, Reish Lakish's opinion is that brother, it is only a isalav for him to go ahead and marry her afterwards. And he learns it out from the pasuk Asher lo yibana. But for the rest of the brothers that were not involved in this chalitza at all, for them to marry this woman, which was their brother's wife that passed away, it would be the isra of Eishes Achiv, Isakaris. Whereas that's Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan disagrees. Rabbi Yochanan says, just like the one that did the chalitza, it's now not anymore Isakaris, it's only a Isalav, like the pasuk says. Similar benegeh to the rest of the brothers, it's also only a Isalav, because the one that did the chalitza for all of them. So now it's a Isalav for everybody. The Gemara brought a Braisa where the Reisha of the Braisa was a Raya to Rabbi Yochanan, and the Seifa of the Braisa was a Raya to Reish Lakish. In the Reisha of the Braisa it says, when one of the brothers did chalitza, and then he went and married that woman, and then he passes away. So what does the Braisa say? That tzricha chalitza min ha'achin, that the brothers will have to do chalitza for this woman. The question is, according to Reish Lakish, that says that there's a isakaris for all the brothers, only the one that did chalitza, for him it's a isalav. But for the rest of the brother, this woman is a isakaris, eishes achiv. So why would they have to do even chalitza for her? If there's a isakaris, there should be no chalitza, no yibum. According to Rabbi Yochanan, the Braisa is a rayat, his opinion. Because Rabbi Yochanan says for all the brothers it's a isalav, and when it's a isalav, then the halacha is you do chalitza and not kares. Then in the Seifa of the Braisa it says, what happens if one of the brothers goes and is mekadesh this woman that one of the brothers did chalitza for her? So the Braisa says, ein lo olav klum. That kedushin did not take effect at all. This is a raya to Reish Lakish, because when does kedushin not take effect? If it's a isakaris. If it's a isalav, the kedushin does take effect. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, that it's a isalav for all the brothers, so why, if any of the brothers were mekadesher, did the kedushin not take effect? There's a raya to Reish Lakish that it's a isakaris, and therefore the kedushin doesn't take effect. So basically, there's really sort of a contradiction here in this Braisa. So the Gemara brought one answer. Now the Gemara will bring another two answers, Rav Ashi and Ravina. Rav Ashi will answer according to Reish Lakish, which means he has to explain the Reisha, that it should fit with Reish Lakish. And Ravina will explain how the Seifa fits with Rabbi Yochanan. Let's see. Zok the Gemara, Rav Ashi, Savalak Reish Lakish. Rav Ashi's opinion is like Reish Lakish. Umetaretz lo ke Rab Shimon. And he explains the Braisa here to be according to Rab Shimon's opinion. Ravina, Savalak Rabbi Yochanan. Ravina holds like Rabbi Yochanan. And he explains how this Braisa would fit with Rabbi Yochanan's opinion according to the Rabbanon. Now this goes back to the machlokes of Rab Shimon and the Rabbanon regarding the halacha of Eishes Achiv Shlehaya Bailamai. The whole mitzvah of Yibum for your brother's wife is only if you were alive in the time that your brother was alive. That the Lashon the Gemara that it says in the pasuk that ki yesh va'achim yachtov. If not, there's no mitzvah of Yibum, and then automatically the Isra of Eishes Achiv applies. But here, there's a machlokes between Rab Shimon and Rabbanon, to what extent we say this Isra of Eishes Achiv Shlehaya Bailamai. Rab Shimon's opinion is that if he had Reuven, he passed away, and then Shimon is going to be Miyavim, his wife, but in between, Levi was born. Only then, if Levi was born in between, do I say that he's an Eishes Achiv Shlehaya Bailamai, and then he's going to be Aser to this woman forever. What if Levi was born after Shimon was Meyavim this wife? So now Levi has nothing to do with this wife being Reuven's wife. He wasn't alive then, he has nothing to do with that. Not associated with that at all. So for Levi, this is Shimon's wife. So if Shimon passes away, he can do Yibum for her. There's no issue that she was once Reuven's wife and he wasn't born then. He's not connected to that at all. And therefore, according to Rab Shimon as well, there's no Isser B'chlal of Eishes Achiv from Reuven, which began by Reuven. That does not exist B'chlal. On the other hand, Rabbanan's opinion is, even if Levi is born afterwards, right, which is what the Gemara called before Yibim or B'Sayf Nailad, in other words, after Shimon doing the Yibum, but nevertheless, since this is a woman that was once married to Reuven, and Levi was not alive when Reuven was alive, so therefore for Levi, this will still be the Eishes Achiv of Reuven, and the Isser of Eishes Achiv of Reuven will apply to Levi, Eishes Achiv Shlehai by Lamai. So now, the Gemara here will explain the Reisha and the Seifa of the Braisa when it talks about the brothers here. The brothers that either went ahead and married her, that's the Seifa, or in the Reisha when it talks about the brothers that have to do Chalitza, so the Gemara will explain that this is depending on the Machlokes of Rab Shimon and the Rabbanon, and of course it will depend when these brothers were born. Were they born before? Were they born later? Let's see. Tzak the Gemara explains it here. Rav Ashi Savala Kerish Lakish. So now Rav Ashi holds like Rish Lakish. What's Rish Lakish's opinion? That for all the brothers, after one brother did Chalitza, for the rest of the brothers, this woman is a Issachkaris now. Issachkaris from the first brother that passed away. So now the question was, in the Reisha, why does it say that if the one that did Chalitza got married to this woman and he passed away, that the other brothers will have to do Chalitza? Why should they have to do Chalitza? It's a Issachkaris for them. So he holds like Reish Lakish, and he explains this Reisha Kerab Shimon, that it goes according to Rab Shimon that these brothers here were born at a later point. They were not born before. Let's see, the Gemara explains. This is how you learn the Braisa. One of the brothers went and did Chalitza for the Yevamos. Now we went and got married to her. So the Braisa says, Tzricha Chalitza Menachin. The other brothers, when he passes away, the other brothers have to do Chalitza. What's the reason? Which kind of brothers are we talking about? If we would be talking about brothers that were alive before, but when Reuven was alive, or even if they were alive after Reuven passed away, between Reuven and Shimon going and doing Yibum for her, so then they would not have to do any Chalitza, because there would be a Issachkaris on them. But what are we talking about? Man Achin, when it says here in the Braisa that these brothers do only Chalitza, we're talking about Achin Hayiludim. We're talking about brothers that were born later. They were born after the Chalitza of this brother. So because they were born later, so therefore they have nothing to do with the marriage, with the first marriage of this woman to Reuven. And therefore that Isser that there would be here from Reuven being married to her, Eishes Achiv, does not apply here at all. So, and therefore, for them, this is a woman that was married to their brother Shimon, and he passed away. They have to do Yibum. The only issue would have been, our question was, that there should be a Issachkaris, because this is Reuven's wife, and the brother that did Chalitza, so now for him there's a Issalav. But for the other brothers, there's a Issachkaris. That's Rish Lakish's opinion. But if they were born just now, after the brother that did Chalitza got married to her, so then they have nothing to do with the Issachkaris from the first from Reuven, from the fact that she was Reuven's wife, and therefore for them they can go ahead and do Chalitza. So Kaman Kerab Shimon. This follows Rab Shimon's opinion. Now Tosfos here points out that you would think that you should be able to do Chalitza or Yibum if they were born later and they have nothing to do with the Issachkaris from Reuven, so then why shouldn't they be able to do Chalitza or Yibum? So we'll see in the Gemara at the end of this blat, in Amud Beis, the Gemara will explain why not. Why only Chalitza and not Yibum. Now, the Seifa of that Braisa, the Gemara quotes here what it says in the Seifa as well, and that simply fits with what Rish Lakish holds. Amad echad min han-noiladim. So here it's not Yiludim, but it's Noiladim. If one of those brothers that was already born from before, when Reuven was alive, or before Shimon did the Chalitza, so he's already there, and therefore the Isser Karis of Eishes Achiv will apply to all the other brothers. And Avikitsha, so one of the brothers went and was Mekadesher, Ein La Olav Klum. In such a case, the Kedushin does not take effect at all, because there's no Kedushin for Isser Karis. So in short, the difference between the Reisha and the Seifa of this Braisa, according to Rish Lakish, is in the Reisha it's speaking about Yiludim. They were born later, after Shimon did the Chalitza, and therefore they have nothing to do with the Isser Karis of Eishes Achiv by the fact that she was Reuven's wife. And in the Seifa of the Braisa, it's talking about Noiladim, that they were born from before already, so therefore there is a Isser Karis, and therefore Ein La Olav Klum. There's no Kedushin, doesn't take effect. Kaman Kerish Lakish. This is the answer of Rav Ashi according to Rish Lakish. Ravine Savalak Rabbi Yochanan. Ravine, his opinion is like Rabbi Yochanan, and Metaratz La Liba de Rabbanan. And he explains this Braisa according to the Rabbanan. So the Gemara starts with the Reisha of the Braisa. The Reisha doesn't need any further clarification because the Reisha was simply a raya to Rabbi Yochanan. One of the brothers did chalitza, and then v'chaza v'kitcha, and then he got married to her. Tzricha chalitza menachin. So the brothers have to do chalitza, and that's because for the brothers, it's a lav. Just like Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is, just like for the one that did chalitza was a isalav, for all the brothers it's a isalav. What happens by a Yevamos that there's a isalav? You can't do yibum, but you do chalitza. It's exactly what the Braisa is saying. So now the Gemara clarifies what kind of brothers are we talking about here in this reisha. Man achin, which brothers are they? Achin hanoiladim. We're talking about brothers that were already born from before the chalitza. They were born from when Reuven was alive, or at least they were born from before the chalitza. And therefore, once the chalitza is done, that takes away the Issa Kares, and it becomes a Issa Lav for all the brothers that were born before that Chalitza. That's the Reisha. Kaman ke Rabbi Yochanan. So that's simple that it's like Rabbi Yochanan. Now the Seifa of the Braisa, where it said that if one of the brothers when it was Makadisher, the Kedushin did not take effect, how does that fit with Rabbi Yochanan? Why should the Kedushin not take effect? It should be a Issa Kares. It should be a Issa Lav according to Rabbi Yochanan, and the Kedushin should take effect. So the Gemara explains what's the pshat in the Sefer. Omad echad min hayiludim. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, the pshat in the Sefer is that here we're talking about yiludim. We're talking about brothers that were born after the chalitza, or actually here the Gemara explains we're talking about brothers that were born after the brother that did chalitza went and got married to her, after he was Makadisher, the Kitcha. So then one of those brothers was Makadisher. So again, yiludim means they were born later. Ein la olav klum. So over here, the Kedushin does not take effect at all. Why not? Keman kerabbanan. This follows the Rabbanan's opinion. What's the Rabbanan's opinion? Even brothers that are born later, but because this woman was once Reuven's wife, and the brothers that are born now were not ba'olamai, they were not alive when Reuven was married to her, so for them, she is an eishes ach shleihaya ba'olamai, and they're also to her forever. That's that Rabbanan have a broader understanding of this concept of Eishes Ach Shleihaya Ba'olamai, that even if they were born much later, after Shimei got married to her, but nevertheless this woman was once married to Reuven, and they weren't alive then. So therefore it's also for them for Eishes Ach. So in short, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's the reverse of the answer that we said before, according to Rish Lakish. The Reisha is talking about Noiladim, the brothers that were already born before, and the Sefer is talking about Yiludim, about brothers that got married later, and therefore the Chalitza did not remove their Sakaris, because they were born after the Chalitza. So if they were born after the Chalitza, so then the Isakaris of Eishes Ach Shleihaya Ba'olamai applies. So that answers the Braisa according to, as the Gemara concludes, Kaman Kerabanan. This is according to the Rabbanan, and this is the answer according to Rabbi Yochanan. Now the Gemara brings a related machlekes that Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish argued about. There's another machlekes which is similar and is connected to their opinions. Itmer, so we learned the following machlekes: Abba Yevamos. A person gets married to his Yevamos, and then Uba Echad Min Ha'achin Al Tzarasa. If one of the brothers went and said, I also want to do the mitzvah of Yibum, and he went and got married to the Tzara. Now the mitzvah of Yibum is only for one Yevamos, not for the Tzara. Right? As the pasuk says that you bayna only one bayis. Rashi brings over here bayis echad bayna and not beis batim. Okay, so there's a mitzvah saseh here that the pasuk says that you only bayna one bayis. But one of the brothers went ahead and got married to the tzara. So he was certainly not doing the right thing. But the question is, what is he over on? Pligi baravach v'ravin. So Ravach and Ravin argue about this. Chadama, one of them says bekaris, that he was over on karis. V'chad omar be'esa, and the other says he was over on esa. So the Gemara explains, man dama bekaris, the one that says that the issa that he was over on is karis is Rish Lakish. This is Rish Lakish's opinion, right? Because Rish Lakish said that the one brother that did chalitza, or in this case, the one brother that did yibum, so therefore that's the yibum that he did the mitzvah and has nothing to do with anybody else. That's his mitzvah that he did. It's not the shlichus of all the other brothers. So therefore, for the rest of the brothers, the isser of not marrying another tzara, that would be an isser kares for them. Right, so in other words, for this brother that married the Yevamos, To him, the Torah is saying, your mitzvah is only to marry one Yevama and not two. So for him, if he would go and marry a tzara as well, he would be Oiver Anessa. But for any of the other brothers that are not involved in this mitzvah of Yibum, for them to go and marry a tzara when there is no mitzvah of Yibum, it's mamish esakaris. That's if you follow Reish Lakish. But the one that says that it's a esse, the one that says that the brother that went and got married to a tzara of the Yevama, that it's only a Isser Esse, that's like Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan's opinion is, when one brother did chalitza, he's doing that chalitza b'shlichus all the brothers. Same thing over here. When one brother was miyabim, that Yevama, that Yibum is a shlichus of all the brothers. And therefore, just like for this Yevama itself, it's a Isser Aseh for him to go and marry a tzara. You only marry baina one bias, one Yevama, and not two. For the rest of the brothers as well, it's a Isser Aseh. Or as Rashi says, this is called a lav haba miklal aseh. You're not allowed to marry the tzara after you do the Yevama for the Yibum for one Yevama, but it's an Aseh because it's a lav that comes from an Aseh that the Torah says that you should build only one bias, get married only to the Yevama. So as we see over here, this is a related machlokes that dependent on the machlokes of Rabbi Yechanan and Reish Lakish. Okay, now the Gemara brings here another halacha. This was mentioned once before, towards the beginning of the Masechta. Another scenario regarding the halachas that we spoke about in the Mishnah, where there's no mitzvah of Yibum, and not even for the tzara either, there's no Yibum either. Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav, Tzaras Saita. The tzara of a Saita Asura will be Asur for Yibum. So the Saita itself will be Asur for Yibum, and the tzara of the Saita will be Asur for Yibum as well. What kind of Saita are we speaking about here? So as we'll see in the continuation of the Gemara. Rashi here explains, we're speaking about someone that was married to two wives, and one of them was a Saita. Usually Saita is used in the expression of meaning that there's a suspicion on her that she might have been mizana with someone, had a relation with someone. Here, the word Saita means that we know for a fact, we have Eidim, that she was mizana with someone. That's the term Saita here. So, in such a case, the tzara of the Saita, also there's no Yibum for her at all. It patters and there's an Isser for Yibum of the tzara of the Saita. So the Gemara explains why. Because my time the Bachas Gairis here, tum miksivba karayis. Regarding a woman that goes and has a relation with someone else, the Torah uses the term tumah, as Rashi here brings the pasuk v'nistara v'hi nitma, and the Torah by the Isser of Arayis also uses the term tumah, as Rashi here brings. It says by the parsha of Arayis al tetamu b'chalela. So therefore, a saita is like a erva, the same concept of tumah, and therefore, just like by a erva, the tzara is also pater of yibum. So too, b'nigeya too, as the tzara saita, also pater of yibum and also to get married to the yavam. Master Rav Chiste asked on this statement of Yudah Marav. Rab Shimon says. So now this is a Mishnah later in the Masechta. We need some background here to explain what that Mishnah is speaking about. Rashi over here brings the background. He's talking of there about a woman that her husband went overseas and he didn't return, and she got the testimony of an Eid Echad that said that they saw he passed away. So she got remarried. Then what happens? One day her husband shows up. So now the Chachamim were geyser and they said, Teitzeh mizeh mizeh. She has to leave the first husband. She can't go back to her first husband. She has to leave her second husband as well. Now what happens if both of these husbands passed away? So now, and she didn't have any children. So what's going to be the story with Yibum or Chalitza? So Rashi over here brings that the Tana Kama over there says that that the brothers of the first husband or from the second husband will do Chalitza but not Yibum. Okay, for this woman that went and got remarried to someone else. Now let's continue inside the Gemara. Here Rab Shimon disagrees with the Tana Kama, with the Rabbanan, and Rab Shimon says, so let's see inside the words of the Gemara. Rab Shimon Omer, biyasa oy chalitzasa me'achiv shel rishon paiteres tzarasa. That when it comes to the first husband that she was married to, so the brothers of the first husband can do Yibum or Chalitza, and that will pater the tzara from Yibum or Chalitza. So as Rashi explains, basically Rab Shimon holds that really she was married to the first husband. That was the first marriage. That was a real marriage. It was a gzeira of Chazal, Teitzeh Mizeh Mizeh, that if she got remarried to someone else, so Chachama wanted her to be very careful about getting remarried before she's 100% sure that her husband passed away. So Chachama will geyser in such a case that she'll have to leave both. So like this, she'll be very careful in advance. But really, she was married to the first one. And therefore, if they pass away, if he passes away without children, so for the first one, there is going to be Yibum and Chalitza. That's what the Rab Shimon's opinion is. But what do we see from here? Both Rab Shimon and the Rabbanan will agree that for the Tzara, there will be Yibum or Chalitza. They're arguing about this woman that went and got remarried to someone else. And then her husband showed up. So the question is whether for the first husband, will there be a din of Yibum or Chalitza for her or not? The Rabbanan hold no Yibum or Chalitza at all, not from the first or for the second husband. And Rab Shimon says, not from the second, but from the first, yes. But when it comes to the Tzara, though, there will be Yibum or Chalitza. That's, as Rashi here explains, that's the diak of the Gemara. And this is even according to the Rabbanan. So, what's the question over here? We see over here, this woman that went and got married to someone else. Nevertheless, there still is a din of chalitza for the tzara of this woman from the first husband. So if so, similar should be regarding the tzara of a saita. A saita is someone that went and had a relation with someone else. So there should still be a din of chalitza for the tzara. So the Gemara answers on this. How could you ask such a question? How could you make such a kind of comparison? Amalach Rav will answer you, Aminalach ana saita dairaisa. I'm telling you a halacha regarding a saita dairaisa, a woman that went and she was over menatayra, she had a relation with someone else, and on that I told you that she's tamei, and also the tzara is going to be potter from yibum. That's the case that's the halacha of Rav. Va'at omritli, and what are you asking me from? From a case that's saita d'Rabbanan. What does saita d'Rabbanan mean? That really, minatayre, she had all the right to go and get married to her second husband. She didn't go and do something wrong to have a relation with someone else. She had an eidecha that said that her husband died. So she went and got married to someone else. Then it turns out that her husband was alive. So Chachamim were geyser and said that she teitzeh mizeh mizeh. But this is not a case where she was metamer herself, where she went against the Torah to have a relation with someone else. It's a gzeira midrabanan. So therefore, in such a case, it's no wonder that the tzara could still do yibum. So the Gemara, it's a very, very simple difference over here. So the Gemara asks on this, the answer is so simple. With the karila makarila, the one that asked this question to compare a case of a saita, meaning someone that went and had an isadig relationship with someone else, to the case of this Mishnah, that's a woman that went and got married to a second husband because she had a legitimate reason. There was a Eid Echad that said that her husband passed away. What's the comparison, B'chal? What was he thinking when he made this comparison? And for the Gemara, Kesavar, he thought, called the Tikkun Rabban and Ken Deiraisa Tikkun, that usually when Chachamim make their takana, they institute it similar to the way the halacha is minatayra. So if in a case minatayra, when a woman that was married went and had a relation with someone else, now there's no yibum and chalitza, not for her and not for the tzara either. So they thought that the same thing when Chachamim made the gezeira regarding this case, that she got married to someone else, even though minatayra she had a reason that she was allowed to. But Chachamim were geizer teitzeh mizeh mizeh when she had a relation with someone else. That here as well, Chachamim went all the way, just like it would be minatayra, that now there's no yibum not for the chalitza either, or no chalitza or yibum for the tzara either. And that was the question. That's why he wanted to make this comparison. Gemara brings now another question on Rav's din. Again, Rav's din is that tzaras saita is asura. That there's no yibum or chalitza for the tzara saita. So Masav Ravashi asks the question. It says in the Mishnah, Nichnasa ima l'seiser. So we're talking over here about the halacha of a saita. And this is the halacha of saita, which it speaks about in Masechta Saita, regarding a person that's makana. He warns his wife not to go with a certain person. And she went with him privately. V'shah se'imoi kedei tumah. And she remained with him in privacy kedei tumah, as long as it takes to have a relation with him. Asura lebeisa. So after this, she's not allowed to go and have relations again, to go back to her husband. And also, v'asura lechel b'trumah. If her husband is a kayan, and she would be allowed to usually eat from the trumah, but after this, she can't eat the trumah. As Rashi brings the psukim It's learned out from Nitma. It says in the Torah 3 times, so it teaches me these halachas. Then the Mishnah there says, V'im meis, if the husband passed away, so what happens now? What the brothers now? Chaletzes v'loi mis Yevamos. The brothers could only do chalitza, but no yibum. So the Gemara there explains why there's no yibum, but what do you see over here? That you do chalitza. Why do you do chalitza? According to Rav, a saita, there's no yibum or chalitza for a saita, not even for a tzara saita. Here it says that there's chalitza for the saita. Amalach Rav, so the Gemara says, Rav will answer you again. It's not the same thing of what I was speaking about. I was speaking about a saita vadai, as I explained before, was talking about a saita that we know for sure that she was mizana, that she had a relation with someone. Va'amritli ad saita safik, and you're asking me a question from a Mishnah that's speaking about a saita where she went and she hid with someone, and the whole thing is a safik whether she had a relation with someone. It's a whole different story. It's not the same thing. So the Gemara asks on this answer, what should be the difference? What did Rav explain? Why is there no din of yibum here, not for the saita and not for the tzara either? Because it uses the term tumah in the Torah, similar to an erva. Saita safik nami tumah ksiva ba. If so, even regarding a saita, which is a safik, the Torah also uses the term tumah as well. So it is a good comparison that there should be no yibum and no chalitza, not for the saita and not for the tzara. So the Gemara brings a braisa, the source for this concept, that the Torah uses the term tumah for a saita, even a saita which is a safik. So the braisa says as follows: Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur Oimer Mishum Rabbi Lazar. He said in the name of Rabbi Lazar. So hamachze grushasai minan nesuin. A person that goes and remarries his wife that he divorced her after she went and got married to someone else. So that's the isser of machzeh grushasai. Only when she got married to someone else. Nisuin means when she's fully married. There's 2 stages to marriage, Eidison and Nisuin. Eidison is when you do Kiddushin, Kesef, Shtar, or Bia. Today, typically, when you give the ring, that's the Kiddushin. And Nisuin is when he moves into her, lives together with her. Moves in with her and he lives together with her. That's Nisuin. So, what Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur says is, a person which is machzeh grushasei that got fully married to someone else, asura, that's asur for him. Mina eidesin, muteres. If she did not fully get married to someone else, only the stage of eidesin, or what's also usually called kiddushin, then muteres. She can go and get married to him. Why? That's of course if the second person divorces her. So then he can go and get married to her. Mishom shenamar, because when the pasuk speaks about a person not taking back a wife that he divorced and someone else got married to her, what's the terminology the Torah uses? Mishom shenamar acharei hasher hutama. After she became tomei to someone else. What does the term hutama mean? Hutama means she already had a relation with someone else, which is not kiddushin. That refers to nisuim, when he's fully married to her. Okay, so that's how Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur translates this word, these words, Achrei Ashutama. This is in the pasuk there, in Parshas Kiseitze, when it talks about the issur of not remarrying a wife that you divorced and she got married to someone else. If you hear in this Gemara, you have the full pasuk there. It says, Leyucha baila arishain asher shilcha lashav lekachta. You can't remarry her, liyas leili isha, Achrei asher hutama. Because she already had a relation with someone else. That's what Achrei asher hutama means. Ki to'evo hi lifnei Hashem. It's an abomination in front of Hashem. So Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur's understanding of Achrei Asher Tama is to come and limit this and say it's only if it was Nisuin and not Eidison. Now, and here's going to be the raya to the question that the Gemara is asking according to the Chachamim, because the Chachamim say Achazu va'achazu asura. Whether this woman that was divorced got married fully Nisuin or only Eidison, either way, asura, she's not allowed to get remarried to her first husband. Elamani mekayim achreyu tama. So why does it say these words of achreyu tama on this pasuk that she became tamei to someone else, and only then you can't have a relation with her? That was Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur's raya, that's only after nisuin. So the Chachamim say that's a whole separate thing. L'rabbis saita shenistera. That part of the pasuk when it says achreyu tama is not talking about geirushin. It's not talking about this whole issa. It's talking about but chlal benegeh to a saita that's suspected to have a relation with someone else. That's called achreyu tama. It tells you even regarding a saita shenistera. Nistera means only a suspicion that she was in hiding with someone else, and on that she's tamei and she can't go back to her husband. So the Gemara's question is from the Chachamim's opinion. What did Rav answer? He was talking about a Saita Vadai. Saita Vadai is considered to be Tomei, like a Nerva, therefore there's no Yibum or Chalitza. A Saita Safik is a different story. There's no Tomei, the term Tomei is not used there, so you can't compare. Frak the Gemara now, here Chachamim are saying, when it says in the Pasuk, Achreihu Tama, that refers to a Saita Shenistara. And so we see the term Tomei is used here, like an Erva, so there should be no Yibum or Chalitza. So the Gemara answers, no, that's not the pshat, and what Chachamim was saying. Umay, so it's in our Gemara, it says there, Umay, Samagoyris Mai, because this is an answer. Mai Nistada, when he says that the Achrei Tama means a woman that was Nistada, that she went and she was hiding with someone, it really means Nivala. It means that we know for a fact that she had a relation with someone else. V'amai Karila Nistada. Why did Chachamim refer to this as Nistada, which is usually meaning only that she hid with someone else? Lishnamal Yanokat. He was using more of a refined expression. Frakta Gemara, Nivala. If it's referring to a woman that we know that she had a relation with someone else, why do we have to learn it from here? Tume behad yiksivba. There's another place where it clearly says the term of Tume regarding her, as Rashi quoted before the pasuk. So why do we have to say, it says by her, V'nistara Vihi nitma. So it says clearly Vinistra vihi nitma there. Vihi nitma means that we know that she had a relation with someone else. So why are we saying that this pasuk here as well, when it says Achrei Asher Hutama, is going to be a second time that the pasuk is talking about a woman that we know for sure she had a relation with someone else, that she's Tameh? Answers the Gemara, Lemeikem Allah Belav. According to the Chachamim, the first time when it says V'nistara v'hi nitma, there it's only saying it as a mitzvah saseh, that in such a case, that because she's tameh, you may not have a relation with her. Over here in the pasuk, it begins with la yuchal ba'ila arisha. It's a lav, that the husband is not allowed to have any additional relation with her. And it concludes in the pasuk, achrei asher tama, after she had a relation with someone else. So here it's a lav. The pasuk is repeating it again to tell me that it's a lav. The Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur. Now the Gemara goes back to explain Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur's opinion. Lav b'saita lesle, that there is a lav in addition to the asay, that when she became tamei, and to say that the pasuk is repeating it again to tell me a lav regarding the saita, he doesn't hold of this. Va'afil anoi nami, and even if we know for a fact that she was mizana with someone else, it's still not a lav. My time, why does he not want to learn that this Achrei Shar Tama is going on someone that had a relation with someone else? That's in a way, that's the more simple pshat of the words Achrei Shar Tama. Tama would mean seemingly someone that had a relation with someone else. So he explains because Havaya v'ishos ksivba. Because Rashi's pshat is, this is a pasuk in Kiseitse, and right before this pasuk there, it uses the terminology of v'yotza v'hoisa, and it uses the term Isha. It's speaking about Havaya and Isha. So this is a parasha that's speaking only about marriage, the woman that got divorced and got remarried to someone else, but it's not talking over here about a woman that went and had a relation with someone else without marriage, to say that there would be a lav in that case. That's Rashi's pshat, that the Gemara is bringing a raya from the pasuk before. Taisus actually says that the raya is in this pasuk itself, because in this pasuk it says, and then it says liyos loy leisha achrei asher tama. So it says liyos, that's the lashon havaya, and loy leisha. So we see from this terminology that the pasuk here is speaking about if she went and got remarried to someone else, or not remarried, she went and got married to someone else, as liyos or leisha. But just a halacha of when she had a relation with someone else, that doesn't come into this pasuk according to Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur. Okay, now since the Gemara brought up here this machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur, the Gemara is going to bring an ibaya that will be connected to their machlokes. Rav Yehuda asked Rav Sheshes a question. Hamachzer gerushasoi, if a person went and got remarried to a woman that he divorced, misha nisis, once she already got fully married to someone else, so he certainly was over on a lav. Umeis, and he passed away. Tzarasa mahu. What's the halacha now with the tzara? Is there yivum for the tzara or not? So the Gemara now will explain the basis of the machlokes, going back now to the machlokes, the basis of the shaila, that is, based on the machlokes of Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur and the Rabbanan. Sagt the Gemara, Ali with Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur leiti bayilach. According to Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur, this is not even a question at all. Why? Kiv and Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur, what did Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur say? Tumeh b'machzeh gerishasai udechsiva. When it says here in the Torah the isser of a person not getting remarried to a woman that he divorced and got married to someone else, the Torah uses the term achrei asher tama. That's to indicate that you really had a relation with someone else, and it uses the term tumah. So therefore, tzarasa kamaisa, just like by a erva, where it says in the Torah the term tumah, that tzara is also asa for yivbum. The same over here regarding machzeh grushasi that got fully married to someone else, and the Torah uses the term tumah. So therefore, the tzara will also be asa to get married to the yavam. Now the Gemara clarifies in the continuation of the pasuk after it says achrei asher tama, it says ki to'eva hi. So that seems to be saying that only to'eva hi, only this woman that he remarried, she's a to'eva. This is an abomination, and it would not affect the isser for the tzara as well. So the Gemara says no, the word he, which is an exclusion, is used for something else. He to'eva, she's an abomination. Vein banea to'evin. The children are not a to'eva, meaning that the child would still be a meyuches, could still get married to a kayin. So that's all the he means. But for the tzara, it will be a tumah, and therefore the tzara is also aser. Hatzara is a teyeva, but the tzara is a teyeva, and there's no yibum for the tzara. So that's why, according to Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur, there's no question about this. The Torah uses the term tumah here, just like erve, and that applies to the tzara as well. Kiti bayalach, according to who am I asking this shaila? Aliba de Rabbanon. The shaila is according to the Rabbanon, because according to the Rabbanon, the Torah does not use the term tumah regarding machzeh grushasim mishanisis. When it says in the Torah achrei asher tama, what is that going on according to the Rabbanon? It's a separate thing. They separate the pasuk, that it's talking about a case of a woman that went and had a relation with someone else. It's not connected to the simple pshat of the first half of the pasuk, which is talking about a person that's machzeh grushasai after she got married to someone else. So now what's our shaila? So even though the Rabbanan said that when it uses the term tumah in the pasuk, it's only referring to a saita. But maybe we could still say ein mikra yaitzim midei pshutai, because it's extra. So we darshan that it also goes on a saita when she had a relation with someone else. But still, in the simple pshat of the pasuk, it's a continuation to what it spoke about before. And before it's speaking about a person that's machzeh grushasi that got married to someone else, and it uses the term tumah. So maybe we should say that it's using the word tumah like an erve, and therefore there should be no yibum for the tzara as well. Or perhaps we can say kivin de iyaker. Once Rabbanan said that we uproot this half of the pasuk, that it's not connected to the pasuk before, so therefore the term tumah here does not refer to a person that's machzeh grushasei. So the question is only according to the Rabbanan. Now the Gemara will bring another lashon, another opinion here that reverses this whole thing. That the question is only according to Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur and not according to the Rabbanan. Ikadamri, there were those that said, Ali, with the Rabbanan leiti bayalach. According to the Rabbanan, there's no question here at all. Kivin the is aker. Since the Rabbanan said that the term tumah used in this pasuk is a separate subject, it doesn't refer to machzeh grushasai. So certainly regarding machzeh grushasai, there will be a mitzvah of yibum for the tzara. The question is, according to Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur, what's going to be the halacha by a machzeh grushasai? Will the tzara have to do yibum or not? Even though Rabbi Yosi ben Kippur clearly said that the Torah uses the term tumah for machzeh grushasai, so it's similar to Erva that the Torah uses the term tumah, so there should be no yibum for the tzara. But we can say miet rachmana, but still there's an exclusion here in the pasuk that he tayeva ve'ein sarasa tayeva, that only she, the erva herself, another one, erva, in this case it's the one that he got remarried to when he was not allowed to. She's an abomination, but ve'ein sarasa tayeva. But the tzara, maybe for her she can't do yibum, but maybe for the tzara, yes. That's what this exclusion is. Or we could say, like the Gemara said before, that's not what this exclusion of he is. He tayeva vein beneh tayeva. That's just a drasha for the children, that the children are still meyuchas and they can get married to kainim. But hatzarasa tayeva. But the tzara will be a tayeva, just like this woman herself that he remarried her, and it says the term tumah. It goes on the tzara as well. That's the shayli here. So the Gemara brings Amalei Tenisua. We learned this in a Braisa. Or what is a Braisa? Or maybe this is a Mishnah. This is over here later in the Masechta. So it says there, Hoisa achas ksheira v'achas psula. So a person that was married to two wives and he passes away. One of them was ksheira and one of them was psula. So the Gemara is going to explain in a moment what ksheira and what psula means. So the Brisa says, or perhaps the Mishnah says, Im haya chaylitz l'psula. If he's going to decide to do chalitza, so let him do chalitza for the wife that's pasul. Im haya meyabim, if he's deciding to do yibum, so then meyabim l'psheira. Let him do the yibum for the wife that's kosher. So the Gemara now explains, my ksheira or my psula. What are we talking about here when it says ksheira or psula? What does this mean? Ileme ksheira la'alma. If the term ksheira over here means that she's a kosher woman, and Rashi says ksheira means a meyuches for others. What does others mean? A fully meyuches woman that could get married to a kohen. And psula means psula la'alma. Psula means psula, apostle for others, that she's not such a meyucheses, and therefore she can't get married to a kohen. That would be the distinction between the term ksheira or psula. But the question is, what effect would that have over here on this person that is making a choice to do yibum or chalitza between these two women? Kiven de lididei chazia. For him, this person, he's a Yisrael, he's not a Kain. So for him, either one of them, he can do yibum or chalitza. Samay nafka lamina. What difference should it make to him whether this is a woman that's a meyuches to get married to a Kain, or as a psula cannot get married to a kohen? Why should that change his decision regarding yibum and chalitza with which he's going to do yibum or chalitza? So therefore the Gemara says, elalav ksheira. Don't you think the pshat of ksheira means ksheira lei? Ksheira means kosher to the husband that they were married to, that passed away. And psula means psula lei, pasul to the husband that they were married, she was married to. What's the ksheira or psula that we're talking about? Maybe this is exactly the chiddush, as Rashi says. This Mishnah is coming to teach me a chiddush, and maybe this Mishnah is coming to teach me this very chiddush over here itself. That when the person gets married to a woman and he's machzeh grushasai, he's remarrying her, and once she got married to someone else, that's puzzle to him. So then, for her, there's no yibum. For the tzara, so again, there's no yibum, and you must do chalitza. But for the tzara, you could do yibum. So she's ksheira. For the ksheira, which is the tzara of this machzeh grishasai, so for her you can do yibum, but not for the woman that he was machzeh, that he got remarried. For her, there's only chalitza. So this is paishet, the question we had before, that by machzeh grishasai, so for the tzara you could do yibum. That would be the pshat here. And this Mishnah, when it says ksheira is the tzara of the psula, which he was machzeh grishasai. So the Gemara answers, loy, that's not the pshat here. Loylam, let's go back to the previous pshat that we said. Ksheira means ksheira la'alma. Psula means psula la'alma. We're not talking about ksheira and psula in regards to the first husband that they were married to, but it means, like we said in the beginning, ksheira as a miyucheses for everybody else, that she can marry a kohen, and psula means psula, that she can't marry a kohen. The question you asked before, if for this Yavam, which is a Yisrael, he can marry either one of them, so why would there be a difference in his choice whether to be Miyabim or to be Chaylitz? So the answer is Mishum de Rav Yosef, because of what Rav Yosef had said. Rav Yosef said, Kan Shana Rebbe, here Rebbe teaches me the following concept. A person should not spill out water of his pit if he doesn't need it, but others do need it. So the point over here is, if you're a chaylitz, a woman that would be kosher to marry a kohen, after you're chaylitzer, a chalutza can't get married to a kohen. So therefore what he's saying is, if you're going to be doing yibum, so then you could be miyabim, you should go ahead and be miyabim the ksheira. But if you're going to be doing chalitza, why go and take this ksheira and make her pasal to a kohen by your chalitza? Go and do the chalitza on the woman that's pasal anyways, so you don't ruin it for another kohen that may want to marry her. You learn your ethical concept that if you're doing something, so do it in a way that you don't ruin it for someone else. If there's no reason to ruin it for someone else. The Gemara Toshama. The Gemara tries to bring another ayah to the question we have here. A person that gets remarried to his wife that he divorced after she got married to someone else. So the Brisa says, he vitzarasa chayletzes. So this woman that he remarried and the tzara, second wife, chayletzes. So you do chalitza. So the Gemara first explains pshat in this Brisa. He vitzarasa, you do chalitza for both of them. So could you think such a thing? You only do chalitza for one. Elo ema. What does this brayse mean? Oihi oitzarasa. That you do chalitza either for the one that he was machzeh grushasai or for the tzara. So what do I see over here in this brayse? That it's either you do chalitza either for the grusha that he remarried or for the tzara as well. So that answers the question that you have to do. You have to do chalitza, and you can do it either for the grusha that he remarried or for the tzara. So the Gemara says, no, there's no raya from here. V'lav terutzi kometartzisla. Isn't this a brayse which you had to change the wording? It's not. It's a brayse wasn't written clearly. So once you have to change it, so tritzachi. Answer and explain the brayse as follows: He chayletzes, but that this machzeh grushasa, the one that the woman that was divorced and he remarried her, so for her he could only do chalitza. Tzarasa, but when it comes to the tzara, oy chayletzes, oy misyabemes, you could do either chalitza or yibum, because there's no, the tumah doesn't go on her, the issa does not go on her. You can do yibum for her as well. The Gemara continues and says that there's other variations. This shaila that we asked until here, the Gemara brings other variations to this shaila, and it's going to bring up the same braises with this very similar sort of a chazara to the Gemara we learned before. But we're going to leave this mitzvah for the next year.